I have this blank wall here in between this section and the back and the corner. I need to create something there to tie these sections together. And I have a plan. Let me tell you about it. So here's what I was thinking. As you know, I'm doing an Egyptian theme for this year's home haunt. Now, the theme is that of a sideshow attraction, a one night only Egyptian type of museum that's set up for the night. So with that in mind, there's got to be containers to pack all this stuff up into, to ship it and to move it. So this is what I want to do, what I want to create. I want to make a crate that will fit in this corner here. And the crate will look like an old wooden box that they put the Egyptian artifacts in to move them from show to show. So that's what I'm thinking. And on this crate, it'll kind of look like it's beat up, and it might say like Cairo on it, or Egypt, or Fragile, or all the above. So that's kind of what I'm thinking to put here in this little section here that'll kind of fill this gap in. Now, the crate itself, it won't be like a real crate. It'll just be like a fake or a faux crate. It'll just have the front of it and then perhaps a little bit of the side to give the illusion of a crate. For the crate itself, I've been giving this a lot of thought, and when I first came up with the idea, I thought about using a cardboard box. And so I've been saving boxes. Now, this is one of the boxes that I saved. And what I had planned on doing was taking the box, painting it, making it look like wood, and then adding some real strips of wood lath to the edges. Just kind of glue them on, just to give it some dimension. And then I would write on it like Cairo or Fragile or Egypt, just to decorate it out. And then kind of set that against the wall here. So that was idea number one. And then as time went on and I kept thinking about it, I started coming up with different ideas on what I might want to use here. So idea number two was more foam. So the idea behind this was just to take a piece of foam, make a rectangle, and then cut some strips of foam, glue around the edges just to give it some dimension, and then paint it to make it look like wood. And then go ahead and decorate it, you know, do some writings on it like Cairo or Egypt, Fragile, and then kind of set that in this section here. So that was idea number two. Now, idea number three, and the one I think I'm going to use, is real wood. I thought, why try to create real wood, something that looks like real wood, when I have real wood to work with? And so, this is what I think I'm going to use to create the crate. And this is that plywood that I use for almost all my projects. I use it for my grandfather clock. I use it for my cash register. I used it for my old time radio. I used it for these wall torches here. And it's just real thin plywood. Super light, which is why I like it. It's easy to work with. And so the plan is to take and cut this. I'll probably have it about 18 or 20 inches wide. I'll keep it this height. And then I'll take my saw and just kind of trim off this extra edge here. And then I bought a bunch of this wood here. It came in a bundle. So I've got like 8 or 7 pieces of these. And I bought them at the resale store for $10. I'm going to take these strips of lumber, cut them in half, and then I'll use them to outline this piece of wood right here to make it look like a crate that's been put together and it's ready to be shipped. And then I'll write Cairo on it, Egypt. Make it look old. Put some scratches on it. And then this will kind of set here in between this corner piece and the wall there, and it'll help kind of fill in this gap right here. Now, this won't be like a full-size crate. It'll just be like the front facing and maybe the side facing, just to give the illusion of a crate. So that's the plan, and that's what I'm going to work on now. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name's Todd, and I like Halloween, and I'm working on, as I said earlier, my props for this year's Halloween theme. If you like this type of content, you can check out some of my other videos. If you really like it, consider subscribing to the channel. If you're enjoying this video, give it a thumbs up. I've got the box made. This is exactly what I had envisioned. I think the next step is to take my sander and just sand the whole thing down, clean up the edges so I don't get any splinters or anything like that when I move this around. And then I might try to age it some. I might take some black or brown paint and lightly kind of brush on here, make it look kind of old. Not sure yet. And then I'll put some stenciling on it. But so far, so good. A new day. I'm gonna see if I can't finish up this crate today. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some of this chalked age gray coating on the outside wood. Not sure about the inside yet. I did a test and I like the way it looks. Basically what I did was I used one of these cheap foam brushes and I put this paint on and then I kind of wiped it off, and it left the gray inside of the ridges of the wood grain here. I think it'll look pretty cool, give it some contrast and color. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got the outside edges of the wood all painted up, as you saw in the video. In the center here, I took and used some of the same paint, but I kind of used it like a dry brush technique and just kind of went over it real lightly, just to give it some highlights. And then after I got done painting all this wood on the outside, I went ahead and took my sander and just kind of sanded it down a little bit. And then I took some chalk, basic sidewalk chalk, and I outlined, spelled out exactly what I wanted the front of this crate to say as far as the wording. Up here it says fragile, then down here it says Cairo, Egypt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some craft paint that I have and basically paint these words here. And this is the part I hate. I hate painting letters. I'm no good at it. But this is a new technique that I'm trying today, where I actually draw it out with some chalk, and the chalk will rub off. And then I'll do my best to kind of paint this and make it look nice. I'm thinking red for fragile and black for Cairo, Egypt. I just had a brilliant idea. What about using a marker? The same marker that I used to do a lot of the artwork on the Egyptian wall. It worked great. It's easy to control. I think that will work great for this part down here, the Cairo, Egypt. And then up here, I can go ahead and use a marker or try the paint. But down here, I definitely think I'm going to use this cheap black marker to fill in these letters. I think it'll work great. It's working great. So much easier and a lot faster. I had no idea I was going to use the brown paint on the crate. But after I put the lettering on, I felt that it was missing something. It just didn't look old enough. So I decided to use some of this brown paint that I have and this old paintbrush and just basically use a dry brush technique and do some highlights on it. And I'm really happy the way it looks. As far as the lettering, I went ahead and used markers for both. And I'm really happy the way it turned out. Perhaps this might be my new technique for doing my letters and words on wood. I had total control with the letters using these markers, and it went fast. And it looks pretty good. So I think I'm going to call this project done. Now, when I do my final decorating, I'll probably have some cobwebs on here and some other stuff, but as far as this project is concerned, I think it's done. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Until then, talk to you later.